Forget footballers' wives, wags of LA, or Real Housewives of Cheshire. There is a new show in town. The Wives of Westminster, no less, are making their presence felt. This would have been unacceptable to me at the best of times. But now a group of twags, Tory wives and girlfriends, have created an online forum sharing tips on the latest £2,000 jumpsuits, luxury properties, and how to avoid getting bored by Brexit. Could they be any more out of touch? And it's even more grating because we've just had to endure the embarrassing spectacle of a bunch of male Tory leadership contenders parading their wives around as a key part of their campaign strategies. Dominic Raab's wife was interviewed in the kitchen. Jeremy Hunt said his wife was perfect. It's all proof, as if we needed any, that having had another female Prime Minister does little to change the fundamentally patriarchal nature of British politics. It feels like we're back in the 1950s. For the feminists among us, there are guaranteed to be some truly nauseating weeks ahead.
So at this stage, just very quickly, to read a response from Nirvana Bridget, I should say, founder of the Wives of Westminster. It is a sad day for the Labour Party when their MPs criticise women for discussing issues such as gender equality and the provision of baby-changing facilities for fathers. I've challenged their stereotype about what, according to them, a Tory political spouse is supposed to be. The Wives of Westminster project is reaching out for equality.
Okay, so I think probably we should just take a second to look at where we are in terms of women in politics at the moment. So we've got a female Prime Minister, First Minister of Scotland, Leader of the House of Commons, Leader of the House of Lords, Defence Secretary. We have got women in significant roles in politics at the moment. So I don't believe that we've returned over to the 1950s and that women are excluded from politics. So I don't share your view with that. I also don't think there was anything particularly wrong with the interviews that we saw over the weekend. So I read the one that you mentioned, the Dominic Raab one, and it was about a 4-paged interview, and it was covering absolutely everything from his parents, his upbringing, his education, and indeed it referenced his wife and how they'd met, and indeed, amongst other things, there was a picture of him and his wife.
And I feel in the kitchen.
They were but I feel that what the objectives of those things are is to show us the character behind the politician, because one of the criticisms levelled at politicians of all genders at the moment is they don't represent us, they're nothing like us. So I think there's a real definite move to try and make the politician more like us and more relatable to us. And before I hand over, when it comes to this kind of Wags of Westminster or whatever it is, Wives of Westminster, I find that stuff bizarre, and I've never quite understood why a woman herself would want to be defined and identified as someone's husband, someone's wife. I feel that weird, but I just think that we need to be careful when we're basically saying that there's still some kind of problem with women in politics and sexist, because I want women to believe that they can have and do and be anything, and starting this as I started this shows all of those roles that women are holding, and I think believing that any women watching this, you can do whatever you want.
But I don't think that the way you encourage women is by denying that the problems exist. I think you be honest about the problems, and it's because of what you say, Michelle, because of the fact that we do have women in positions of power, that it's all the more shocking to me that these cultural attitudes towards the role of wives still exist. And I'll just show you what I'm saying. Here's the oh my god shopping column, and this is what Jess Phillips.
Nice shoes.
Hold on.
This is, and I love shopping, by the way, for the record.
Can I just say something?
Can I just show you this, and then you can come in? And this is Jess Phillips, who I happen to wholeheartedly agree with on this, responding to the interview of Dominic Raab and his wife.
Look.
Lol, can we get away from the idea of wife-husband as a prop? No matter how high I rise in politics, I promise you, all you will see of my husband in Instagram is the pics I put of him in a full Adidas tracksuit that he immediately demands I delete.
This requires some balance here, Afwan. For goodness sake, listen. Just before we began, I said to you, nice dress, and you said thank you, and I said, it's suit. Catching the attention of everyone because you post them on Instagram and you post the name of the designer every single time. Are you now drawing attention to your clothes when you do that?
I'm proud to support female designers in the clothes that I wear.
They're proud to support the shopping thing they just put up. It's their choice. And as for, I agree with everything Michelle said. It's like me, who stood as a Lib Dem candidate complaining about, you know, racism in the Tories when they've got a British Pakistani Home Secretary. The Lib Dems have never done that. Labour have never produced a female Prime Minister. I'm not a Tory, but I can recognise... Hold on, let me rant. I can recognise that the Conservatives have put forward 2 female Prime Ministers.
It's a good parallel.
At the end of the day, we've got to stop searching in the reeds for things to complain about.
It's a good parallel. In the same way as having Sajid Javid. The existence of Sajid Javid does not solve racism in the Conservatives. The existence of a female Prime Minister.
But if I'm complaining about that when my own party has done worse, then let me look at that first. Seriously, I think.
And also, I think this is why, Afua, this is why feminism gets such a bad rap. Because at the end of, and you know,
you're a feminist.
and you know I'm with you on a lot of this stuff. But the problem with feminism is we don't allow for balance. We don't allow for nuance. At the end of the day, if a woman wants to be a wife, that's her choice. And the problem with feminism is we demonize women who want to stay in a home and who want to support a man.
That's an unfair representation of what I'm saying.
No, but what you're saying there is precisely that.
No,
because,
it's not.
But it is, because that's what those women have chosen. Would we mind if Jess Phillips was in the kitchen with her husband? Probably not. We wouldn't have noticed. And I think at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with women like us who choose to work and be independent. But at the same time, I am never going to say there's something wrong with a woman who just wants... in fact, I'm not going to say just, who wants to be at home and who wants to make sure that that's her job. Nothing wrong with that.
I have never criticised that.
You want to be a trophy? That's on you.
My problem is what Michelle's saying. No, my problem is what Michelle's talking about. It's not women. Feminism is about women having choice. If women want to shop, they want to stay at home, and it is a full-time job to be at home looking after the family, then that is their choice. My problem is with the culture underlying our politics when a candidate feels the need to, in the same sentence as he's announcing his candidacy,
how do you know?
Roll out his family.
How do you know to underscore? And if a woman...
But Theresa May rolled out Philip when she was announced.
With visible discomfort.
If Mrs Hunt, if Mrs Raab, if Mrs Stewart, if Mrs Johnson, unlikely, wants to support their candidates, their husband who are candidates, let them. Who are you to tell them they can't be a twag?
Telling them.
And the other point, I do like you, but you see offence at everything. Whether it's Nelson's column, it gives you the absolute... You see an episode of Dad's Army, it annoys you. You now see an interview with Dominic Raab, and you get the heebie-jeebies. What is it? What is it with you? Let it go.
I'm with you on Nelson's column. I'm with you on that. But this one,
it's not healthy. It's not healthy.
I think you're all misunderstanding
but in all
what I'm saying.
seriousness, as feminists,
we
need to get this one right. That's why there are so many.
To believe I am.
You're misunderstanding me, because I'm not saying I have a problem with wives, by the way. I'm not saying that, and you know, we all know that behind all these male politicians, often it is the support of a woman that's allowing them to do the stuff they're doing. I'm saying what I don't like is the pressure that I perceive that these politicians feel they have to use their wives or their families as a prop to their political campaigning. It's often visibly uncomfortable. It's not an assumption, because time
they're
after
just showing
time
who they are
do it.
behind closed. They're showing their character. Do you have a problem with that? No, you don't.
So why is it that people are saying? Why is it that people are saying that Boris Johnson's fairly car crash personal life in recent years is going to be a hindrance to his campaigning?
Yeah, it should be. It tells me a lot about who he is as a human being. It tells me a lot about his morals. In the same way, yes, it does.
It's not
in
optional.
The same way, I like Barack Obama because he's got Michelle Obama as his wife, and I certainly don't look at Melania Trump as anybody that I would be inspired by. It tells me a lot about the man based on who he chooses as a partner.
If you've been unlucky in love, what does that mean for your professional capabilities?
That's not unlucky in love.
Well, he has. He's been unlucky on a number of occasions.
Choosing as your third wife,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Someone who's 40. Oh, sorry.
We all make mistakes in life and love. Can I not count on your vote now? It all sounds rather unfortunate. Are you prepared to withdraw?
Why do we all love Barack? Because he's got this fabulous wife. You know, why are we excited about Prince Harry? Because he chose a wonderful
mate. This was a fun debate, wasn't it?
I think you're on your own with that.
I think it's very unhealthy to be required to produce a perfect personal life to be considered eligible for office.
Nick
is an excellent case.
We are going to go around and around with this one, I can tell. So let's move on.